Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, was a Jedi bound by duty and honor, but he often chafed against the rigid constraints of the code. When Ahsoka Tano, his Padawan, walked away from the Jedi Order after being betrayed by those she trusted, Anakin stayed behind, torn but loyal to the Council. But what if he couldn't let her go? What if Anakin chose to leave the Order with Ahsoka and forge a new path together?
Ahsoka, why are you doing this?
Because if the Jedi can't trust me, how can I trust myself?
What about me? I trusted you. I stood by you.
I know you did, Anakin. I just need to figure this out on my own.
But this feels like a mistake.
Maybe it is, but I need to try.
I understand more than you know.
I know you do, Anakin.
Then let's find our own path together. I won't leave you to face this alone.
I appreciate that, but like you said, this could be a mistake.
I've made plenty of mistakes, but not leaving now would be the biggest. Now come on, Snips. Let's do this together.
How did the Council take the news?
As well as one could expect, Master Windu looked like he was trying not to explode. Yoda just closed his eyes and sighed. And Obi-Wan, well, he's disappointed, but I think he understands.
Are you sure about this, Anakin? Leaving the Jedi Order? It's everything you've known your whole life.
I've never been more sure of anything. The Jedi demand we give up so much. Family, love, connection. All for some ideal that's supposed to bring balance to the galaxy. But where's the balance in denying who I am, or in hiding what we have?
I just don't want you to regret this someday. You've worked so hard, sacrificed so much.
And what I regret is the time I've spent pretending to be someone I'm not, sneaking around, lying to the people who trust me. I've carried this secret for so long, and I won't do it anymore.
No more secrets?
No more secrets. I want to be with you, truly with you, in the open. We can have the life we've always dreamed of.
It won't be easy, Anakin. People will talk. The Senate, the press. You know how ruthless they can be.
Let them talk. I'd face every gossip, every critic, every battle in the galaxy if it means being with you.
You're impossible. You know that?
I've been told that once or twice.
Then let's do it. Together.
Together.
The Outer Rim had suffered deeply from the scars of the Clone Wars. Villages burned, families torn apart, an entire planet stripped of resources to fuel a conflict that seemed to have no end. For the first time, Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano walked among the people, not as Jedi, but as individuals. No ranks, no robes, no war machines. In a small farming settlement on Ord Mantell, Anakin knelt beside a young boy clutching a broken droid in his arms. The boy's face was smudged with dirt, his eyes hollow from weeks of sleepless nights hiding from raiders. Anakin smiled gently as he reached for the droid, the familiar hum of the Force guiding his hands as he repaired its fractured circuits.
There,
he said, handing it back. The droid whirred to life, eliciting a rare smile from the child.
Looks like you've got your friend back.
Nearby, Ahsoka worked alongside a group of farmers to reinforce their broken fences. She traded her lightsabers for tools, her sharp movements replaced by steady determination as she drove stakes into the dry, cracked earth. One of the farmers glanced at her, sweat streaking his weathered face. "You sure don't look like one of those Jedi," he muttered.
That's because I'm not.
Ahsoka replied, a small, knowing smile tugging at her lips. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, the settlement felt alive again. People who had once seen Jedi as distant warriors in the sky now saw two kindred spirits willing to get their hands dirty. Anakin and Ahsoka shared a glance, an unspoken understanding passing between them.
This,
Ahsoka said, gesturing toward the bustling campfires and the sound of laughter returning to the air.
is what I thought the Jedi were supposed to be.
Anakin nodded, his expression thoughtful.
So did I. Maybe we were never meant to be soldiers. Maybe this is what balance looks like.
Ahsoka raised an eyebrow, a hint of her old playful sarcasm slipping in.
Don't get all philosophical on me, Sky Guy.
He smirked, the weight on his shoulders easing for the first time in years.
Just saying, Snips. Feels good to actually help people, doesn't it?
As the stars blinked to life overhead, the two former Jedi sat together, watching the village settle into peace. For once, the galaxy didn't feel so dark. The galaxy was no stranger to corruption, but few knew its depths better than Senator Padme Amidala. While the Senate debated endlessly, Padme often turned to Anakin and Ahsoka for assistance with personal missions, helping those the Republic's red tape left behind. Whether it was delivering relief supplies to war-torn worlds or uncovering corporate exploitation on neutral planets, the pair became her quiet allies in her fight for justice. It didn't take long for the galaxy to take notice. Anakin's public support of Padme made headlines, and their relationship, long hidden in secrecy, was exposed. The holonets buzzed with the scandal of a former Jedi and a sitting senator in love, but Anakin didn't care. For the first time, he could stand beside her openly, without fear of reprisal. Still, the galaxy was a dangerous place, and their growing involvement in Padme's missions brought them into conflict with criminals and warlords who thrived in the chaos of the Clone Wars. It was during one such mission, an investigation into spice smuggling on Kessel, that Anakin and Ahsoka uncovered a disturbing truth. The organizations they faced weren't isolated. Smugglers, slavers, bounty hunters, and syndicates, they were all connected, their strings pulled by a shadowy network known as the Shadow Collective. The name carried whispers of fear. It wasn't just another crime syndicate, it was a web that spanned the galaxy, striking from the shadows and evading the Republic's reach. When Anakin and Ahsoka began dismantling its operations piece by piece, their actions drew the attention of the one pulling the strings. Maul stood before a dimly lit holo projector, his glowing eyes narrowing as he observed the footage of his latest adversaries. Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano, a Jedi and his apprentice turned rogue vigilantes, had become an unexpected thorn in his side.
They are meddling where they do not belong,
Maul hissed, his mechanical legs clanking as he paced the room.
Skywalker, the chosen one, and his little shadow, the apprentice. How fitting.
One of Maul's lieutenants, a grizzled Wike, stepped forward hesitantly. Their attacks are disrupting our shipments on multiple fronts. If this continues, Maul's hand shot out, cutting off the man with a vice-like grip of the Force.
If this continues, they will bring the full attention of the Republic to my work.
He released the man, who collapsed to the floor, gasping.
But no matter. I know Skywalker's kind, reckless, impulsive, and blinded by his own convictions.
A twisted grin spread across Maul's face as he turned back to the holoprojector. Back on Coruscant, Anakin and Ahsoka returned to their temporary base, a discreet safe house provided by Padme. Anakin's datapad pinged with a message from Chancellor Palpatine, another mission, another request for third-party assistance. Anakin frowned as he skimmed the details.
This feels wrong.
Ahsoka muttered, watching him.
The Shadow Collective isn't just some petty criminal group. There's something bigger going on here. And I don't think Palpatine's telling us everything.
Anakin sighed, setting the datapad down.
Maybe not, but if we don't act, no one else will.
As they prepared for their next mission, neither of them realized just how close their enemy was watching, or how much Maul already knew about their weaknesses. The Shadow Collective's grip tightened across the galaxy, and whispers of Maul's resurgence grew louder. When the news reached Mandalore, the people had little hope of escaping his influence. Maul's return to the planet brought chaos, with the remnants of Death Watch falling under his control. The once proud warrior culture now served as pawns in Maul's scheme to dominate from the shadows. In secret, Bo-Katan Kryze, leader of the Mandalorian resistance, reached out to the Jedi Order. The plea for help was met with hesitation. Mandalore's neutrality during the Clone Wars made intervention politically sensitive, but the Chancellor himself intervened, granting Anakin Skywalker the authority to act. Anakin stood before Chancellor Palpatine, his expression resolute.
The people of Mandalore are suffering. If Maul solidifies his hold there, he'll gain control over their resources, their warriors. We can't let that happen.
Palpatine clasped his hands together, leaning forward with a measured nod.
You are right, my boy. This is not just a Mandalorian problem. It is a threat to the galaxy's stability. However, the Senate will not approve a large-scale deployment. The politics of Mandalore are delicate.
Anakin's brow furrowed, his frustration evident.
Then what do you suggest?
Palpatine smiled faintly.
Take a small contingent, a task force under your direct command. Use the 501st. Those men trust you implicitly. Strike quickly and decisively, and ensure that Maul does not escape.
Anakin hesitated for only a moment before nodding. The steady hum of the ship's engines filled the briefing room as Anakin outlined their plan to a small section of the 501st Legion. Captain Rex stood at attention beside Ahsoka, who scanned the holoprojection of Sundari, Mandalore's capital city.
We'll deploy at night,
Anakin explained.
Bo-Katan's forces will create a diversion drawing Maul's loyalists away from the palace. Our objective is simple. Capture Maul and dismantle his network.
Ahsoka crossed her arms, her tone skeptical.
Maul's not going to make it easy. He's been planning this for years. He's not just going to sit in his throne room waiting for us.
Anakin smirked.
Good. Let him make it difficult. That's what we're here for.
Rex glanced between them, his helmet tucked under one arm.
If this is anything like Umbara, we're in for one hell of a fight.
Ahsoka smiled faintly. The tension in the room eased with the exchange, but everyone knew the gravity of the mission. Anakin dismissed the troops, leaving him alone with Ahsoka as the holoprojector powered down. As the Siege of Mandalore erupted into chaos, Ahsoka found herself drawn into the battle to protect the people caught in the crossfire. Death Watch loyalists and Maul's forces wreaked havoc across Sundari, and Ahsoka took charge of coordinating evacuations and aiding the resistance in holding the line. Her twin lightsabers flashed in defense of civilians as she fought alongside Bo-Katan's warriors. Her focus divided between saving lives and pushing back Maul's loyalists. Meanwhile, Anakin pressed deeper into the palace, cutting through waves of resistance until he reached the throne room. The Grand Chamber was eerily silent compared to the chaos outside. Maul stood waiting, his twin-bladed lightsaber inactive, a predatory grin spreading across his face.
Skywalker,
Maul said, his voice smooth and venomous.
You've done well to reach me, but I suspect this is where your understanding ends.
Anakin tightened his grip on his lightsaber, his stance wary.
I'm not here for a conversation, Maul. You're going to answer for what you've done.
Maul chuckled darkly, his sharp teeth glinting in the dim light.
What I've done? The galaxy is burning, Skywalker, and it's not by my hand alone. Your precious Republic, your Jedi Order, they're puppets, dancing to the will of my old master.
Anakin's brow furrowed, his lightsaber humming to life.
Sidious, you think name-dropping a Sith Lord is going to save you?
Maul's expression darkened, his voice growing more intense.
Save me? No. I've seen his plans, Skywalker. I know the fate that awaits you. He is grooming you, twisting you to his will even as we speak. And when he is done, you will be his tool, his apprentice, the instrument of the galaxy's destruction.
Anakin took a step forward, his eyes narrowing.
You're lying.
Maul ignited his lightsaber, the red blades casting an ominous glow.
Am I? Look around you. The Clone Wars, the corruption in the Senate, the Jedi blind to their own hypocrisy, all of it orchestrated by Sidious. And you, Skywalker, are the key to his final victory.
Anakin's jaw tightened, his voice a low growl.
If you know so much, then why haven't you stopped him?
Maul's grin returned, though it was twisted with bitterness.
Because he is too powerful for me to face alone. But together, we can destroy him. You and I, Skywalker. Join me, and we can end this nightmare. Free yourself from his grasp before it is too late.
For a moment, the words hung in the air, and a flicker of doubt crossed Anakin's face. But it was gone as quickly as it came. He shook his head, his expression hardening.
You're trying to manipulate me. You're no better than he is.
Maul's face twisted into frustration, his voice rising.
You fool! Do you think the Jedi will save you? Do you think the Republic will survive? Open your eyes, Skywalker.
Anakin raised his lightsaber.
Enough! You're done controlling others. This ends now.
Maul's anger gave way to a feral grin as he took his combat stance.
So be it, Skywalker. Let us see if the Chosen One lives up to his name.
As Maul's mocking laughter echoed through the throne room, something deep within Anakin stirred. He remembered Qui-Gon Jinn, the man who had freed him from slavery, the man who had believed in him when no one else had. Qui-Gon had seen him as more than a slave, more than just a boy from Tatooine. He was the reason Anakin had a chance at a better life, and the Sith had taken him away. Anakin's grip tightened around his lightsaber as Maul prowled closer, his movements predatory, his twin-bladed weapon ignited in a menacing hum. The very creature responsible for Qui-Gon's death stoked the fire in Anakin's heart, but it wasn't just that. Maul's Shadow Collective, built on crime and exploitation, allowed slavery to thrive in the galaxy. The very thing Anakin despised, the thing he had sworn to destroy, was flourishing under Maul's influence.
You're nothing but a coward. You kill, you manipulate, you enslave, because you're too weak to stand on your own.
Maul's grin widened, his tone mocking.
And yet here you are, Skywalker. Righteous anger, burning brighter than any Jedi's light. Tell me, how far will you go to destroy me?
Anakin didn't answer. He lunged. Their lightsabers clashed in a blinding flurry of strikes, the hum of plasma filling the air. Anakin drove forward with relentless fury, his attacks fast and brutal. Maul deflected each blow with calculated precision, his crimson blade spinning in a deadly arc as he countered with his own ferocity.
You fight with passion, Skywalker.
Maul sneered, spinning out of reach before lashing out with a vicious strike.
But passion is the tool of the Sith.
Anakin didn't falter, pressing the attack. His lightsaber carved through the air, each strike heavier than the last.
I am nothing like you!
Maul's laughter rang out as he sidestepped a powerful overhead swing.
Oh, but you are. Your anger gives you strength. Your hatred makes you powerful. Embrace it, and you'll see the truth.
Anakin's frustration boiled over. He couldn't deny the surge of power he felt coursing through him, the raw energy that made him faster, stronger, but it wasn't enough. Maul was slippery, dodging and taunting, feeding off Anakin's growing rage.
You'll fail, Skywalker.
Maul hissed, leaping over a sweeping strike.
Just as your Jedi have failed. Just as Qui-Gon failed.
The mention of Qui-Gon was the breaking point. Anakin's vision blurred with red as he roared, unleashing a torrent of strikes so furious that even Maul struggled to keep up. Their battle tore through the throne room, sparks flying as lightsabers met walls and pillars. Anakin's attacks grew more reckless, his swings wild but devastating. The Force pulsed around him, dark and consuming. Maul miscalculated a parry, and Anakin seized the moment. With a feral cry, he disarmed the Sith Lord, sending one of Maul's crimson blades skittering across the floor. Maul staggered back, his remaining lightsaber raised defensively, his confidence faltering for the first time. Anakin's chest heaved as he stood over Maul, his lightsaber poised for the final strike. All Anakin could see was the monster who had destroyed Qui-Gon, who had perpetuated the horrors of slavery, who had caused so much suffering. Maul opened his mouth to speak, but the words never came. With a roar, Anakin drove his lightsaber through Maul's chest, the blue blade piercing the Zabrak's heart. Maul's eyes widened in shock before the life drained from them, his body collapsing to the floor. Anakin stood over Maul's lifeless body, his chest rising and falling as the dark energy that had consumed him began to recede. He felt the weight of his actions settle on his shoulders, but the anger still burned, smoldering like embers in his soul. The doors to the throne room burst open, and Ahsoka rushed in, her expression shifting from relief to concern as she saw Anakin standing alone amidst the destruction.
Anakin!
She said softly, stepping closer. Her eyes flicked to Maul's body, then back to Anakin.
What happened?
He's gone.
Anakin said flatly, extinguishing his lightsaber. But as Ahsoka studied him, she saw the conflict in his eyes, the lingering shadow of the rage that had driven him to victory. She said nothing, but her silence spoke volumes. As the Siege of Mandalore finished up, Anakin and Ahsoka prepared to leave. The ship's engines hummed steadily as Anakin and Ahsoka stood side by side in the cockpit, gazing out at the endless expanse of hyperspace. The battle for Mandalore was over, but the weight of what had transpired hung heavily between them. Anakin had slain Maul in the heat of battle, his emotions driving him to a place he could barely recognize. Ahsoka had seen the toll it had taken, though she said little, choosing to focus on their shared mission, returning to Coruscant to deliver the news to the Chancellor. As their ship emerged from hyperspace, the site of Coruscant came into view. The familiar skyline of the city planet was illuminated by fires and explosions. Separatist warships hovered ominously above, unleashing barrages of firepower. The streets below were in chaos, with smoke rising from countless points across the city.
Coruscant's under attack,
Ahsoka said, her voice sharp with urgency. Anakin's hands tightened on the controls as he veered the ship into the atmosphere.
We don't have time to waste. I sense that the Chancellor is in danger.
As they approached the Senate district, the destruction became clearer. Droid gunships strafed buildings, and blaster fire lit up the streets. Anakin brought the ship down to a nearby landing platform, and they disembarked into the chaos.
Ahsoka, help the people get to safety.
Anakin ordered, his voice firm.
I'll check on the Chancellor.
Ahsoka hesitated for a moment, her eyes searching his face.
Be careful, Anakin.
He nodded, his expression grim, before sprinting toward the Senate spire. Anakin moved swiftly through the corridors, his lightsaber ready as he cut down stray battle droids blocking his path. When he reached the Chancellor's office, the doors were already ajar, the faint sound of mechanical breathing echoing within. Pushing the doors open, Anakin froze. General Grievous stood in the center of the room, his towering frame casting long shadows. The droid general turned his yellow eyes toward Anakin, a wicked grin spreading across his skeletal face. "You're too late, Skywalker," Grievous rasped, his voice metallic and grating. "The Chancellor is coming with me." Behind him, Palpatine stood calm and unshaken, watching the confrontation with a measured expression. Anakin stepped forward, igniting his lightsaber.
Over my dead body.
Grievous chuckled, his claws flexing. "That can be arranged." The duel erupted in a flash of blue plasma and metal claws. Anakin fought with unrelenting aggression, each strike aimed to disarm and destroy. Grievous countered with his inhuman speed and precision, his mechanical arms spinning in a deadly blur. "You fight with anger, Skywalker," Grievous taunted as he parried another strike. "How very un-Jedi of you." Anakin's strikes grew more furious, the memory of Maul's taunts and the horrors of war fueling his rage. His mind raced with thoughts of the destruction Grievous had caused, the lives lost because of the Separatists. Grievous seized the moment, slamming Anakin back with a powerful blow that sent him skidding across the floor. As the general advanced, his claws sparking, something inside Anakin snapped. The dark side surged through him, raw and overwhelming, feeding on his anger and thirst for power.
You are nothing but a pawn, and I will discard of you first before your master can.
Anakin growled, his voice dripping with venom. Grievous lunged, but Anakin didn't dodge. Instead, he raised his hand, and the Force lashed out like a tidal wave. Grievous froze mid-strike, his body convulsing as an invisible grip wrapped around him. Anakin's outstretched hand trembled with the intensity of the dark energy flowing through him.
Let's see how you survive without those organs of yours.
Anakin hissed, his voice cold and unrecognizable. Grievous let out a garbled scream as Anakin's grip tightened, crushing the internal organs encased within the general's mechanical body. Sparks flew as Grievous's limbs jerked uncontrollably. With a final, sickening crunch, the life drained from him, and his massive form crumpled to the floor. With Grievous's death, the tides of battle shifted. The Separatist forces began their retreat, their warships vanishing into hyperspace, leaving Coruscant scarred but standing. The Republic had triumphed once again, but the cost was far greater than anyone could have anticipated. Anakin Skywalker stood alone in the Chancellor's office. The body of General Grievous crumpled at his feet. The faint hum of battle outside seemed distant now, muffled by the storm brewing within him. His eyes, once bright and full of hope, were now clouded by a darkness that threatened to consume him. Palpatine approached, his expression unreadable, save for the faint trace of a smile. He placed a hand on Anakin's shoulder, his voice low and deliberate.
The galaxy owes you a great debt, my boy, but I sense your journey is far from over. Together, we will bring the peace and justice it so desperately needs.
Anakin didn't respond. He couldn't. The weight of his actions, the rage he had unleashed, and the satisfaction it had brought, all of it churned within him, drowning out the Jedi teachings he once clung to. He wasn't the man he had been when this war began, and Palpatine knew it. This is the end of Part 1. The story of Anakin's descent, or potential redemption, has only just begun. If you want to see what happens next, hit that like button, and let's aim for 500 likes. Also, drop a comment below. Do you want to see a light side ending or a dark side ending for this story? Your feedback will shape the next chapter, so don't miss your chance to decide Anakin's fate.